So the opposition in Eswatini has branded the kingdom's agreement to take in criminals from the United States as human trafficking disguised as a deportation deal. 5 men who are foreign nationals arrived in Eswatini last week. Earlier this week, a petition was delivered to the US Embassy demanding that the country take them back. Let's get you the latest on the situation from the editor of local publication Swaziland News, Zweli Dlamini, joining us on The Full View. Good to have your time, sir. Speak to us about the sense within the domestic community in Eswatini around this deportation deal. Why is the outrage seemingly not dying down?
Thank you for having me. What is happening in Eswatini since last week, Wednesday? There's been a huge outrage after the deportations of about 5 United States dangerous criminals who are, of course, from different countries, but they were dumped through the King of Mswati International Airport. What happened thereafter, if I recall, it was on Thursday. Women rights organization marched to the United States Embassy demanding that these deportees must be sent back to the United States. And what we subsequently gathered thereafter was that, in fact, there's an agreement between the Kingdom of Eswatini and the United States, which might result to the deportations of about 160 dangerous criminals, including terrorists. And as far as I understand, these criminals will be deported in stages.
So you say more criminals who are foreign nationals that the Americans don't want to keep in their territory are headed to Eswatini, more than 100 by your account. Zweli, how reliable is that information? And you mentioned that these are terrorists, among them are terrorists. What does that mean? What were the exact offences, the profiles of these convicts?
Thank you. This information is reliable. It was sourced from a cabinet meeting. There was a cabinet meeting on Tuesday where this matter was deliberated at length, and we managed to get that information because we have some sources in cabinet. We normally get what is being discussed there. So what happened during that meeting, the Attorney General, Mr. Sfiso Kumalo, who is by the Constitution, by virtue of the Constitution, is supposed to be consulted in as far as such agreements are concerned. But apparently what we get that the Prime Minister did try to indicate that there might be some agreement in this regard, whereby the United States was requesting to deport some criminals who are not wanted in the United States. And the Attorney General is said to have advised that no, this agreement will have a negative impact. In fact, it was undermining state security. So the Prime Minister is alleged to have then went behind the Attorney General and signed that agreement. So there was a serious conflict within cabinet. In fact, on Tuesday, the Attorney General ended up telling the Prime Minister during the meeting that he has got the agreement that has been signed, which of course might result to the deportations of over 150 criminals. In fact, the number, according to the agreement, is about 160, and these include dangerous terrorists.
And what is in this for Eswatini? What will the kingdom actually benefit from taking in these convicted criminals from the US? I know the Americans are paying for their time. At least these 5 who are in solitary confinement are going to be taken care of on the US dime. But ultimately, what is the benefit for Eswatini?
What we have just gathered is that there is a huge amount for each criminal that will be paid by the United States, and we're still investigating if that money has already been paid. But there's the Kingdom of Eswatini is said to benefit millions from this deal. And what is more concerning is the fact that the entire security cluster and the entire criminal justice system is currently at its weakest. The human resource within the security system is demotivated such that the police, the correctional services that is supposed to safeguard these criminals, they are currently engaging with the government. They want salaries, so they are demotivated. So the security of the country itself is not that much stable. So with these deportations, it seeks to undermine, as I've just mentioned, the entire state security. And of course, even the other neighboring countries are currently expressing serious concern regarding these deportations.
So I was listening, Zweli, earlier this week, in fact, to one of the leaders of the opposition, I believe it was, speaking on SABC radio about plans in the coming days, the coming weeks, to ramp up the pressure campaign on the government to reverse this controversial deportation deal with Washington. Is there enough interest or anger in Eswatini at the moment for this to morph into something similar to the unrest of 2021, which is when we know there was a crackdown by the government that resulted in dozens of deaths?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the members of the public are shocked and angry, but you will understand that this is a country that is ruled as an absolute monarchy, whereby even protests are not taken seriously. You know, in a country that is democratic, the public opinion normally matters, but in an absolute monarchy, only the word from one man, in this regard, King Mswati, automatically becomes the law. In fact, it's final. So even if we can have protests, I cannot be sure if those protests will escalate to the level of the 2021 unrest. But currently, when you analyze the situation, even on digital platforms, it suggests that members of the public are equally concerned. In fact, they are wondering if they are secured, what is happening in their country, and considering the fact that this deal was signed secretly, they received news, it was a surprise that they now have some dangerous criminals within their country. So maybe we can have some protests, but the country is currently restricting or cracking down on pro-democracy protests. King Mswati is using the barrel of the gun to rule the country.
And very briefly, Zweli, if you can answer this for me, in terms of where we are at the moment, do we understand that all of these inmates who are being transferred from the US, I think we've lost Zweli, have we? Okay, we've lost Zweli Dlamini, it doesn't matter. He was able to give us a sense of what's going on in Eswatini. Okay, Zweli, I'm told we've got you back. Let me squeeze in a final question. Is the understanding that all of these convicts who are being taken to Eswatini from the US, are they all going to serve life sentences? If not, when they come out, is the expectation that they be integrated into Swati communities?
We are still investigating what will happen to these criminals. But the information that we have so far, these criminals were rejected by their respective countries. In fact, these were deportees. The United States is currently embarking on massive deportations. So these criminals were rejected in their respective countries, and then the United States decided to engage Eswatini, saying, please keep these criminals for us. And what the government of Eswatini is saying that we are still engaging with their countries. We will eventually repatriate them back to their respective countries. So we are still investigating what will happen, and if they are being deported into Eswatini will eventually result to their repatriation to their respective countries. But we're not sure, because this is the government that is operating very secretly, and we are not even trusting the information they are providing us in this regard.
Zweli Dlamini, good to talk to you, editor of Swaziland News, a publication from Eswatini. So speaking about that controversial deportation deal with the Americans, Zweli's publication saying they've now confirmed that more than 100 more inmates are likely to be brought to Eswatini from America.